Hi, my name's Emma, and I'm a huge book nerd.
You're my library, always open for business.
I know I am so inconsistent with filming, and I'm sorry about that. But I film when I'm in the mood to share my excitement about books with you, because I want to actually be genuine and excited for you guys. That being said, I'm finally ready to do my November wrap-up. I read 9 books in November, which is kind of a lot, so I'll just jump in and tell you about them. The first book that I read is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton, and I have been dying to read this for a really long time. I've only heard incredible things, and the premise just immediately captured my attention and made me want to read it. So it's kind of a cross between Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None and like Groundhog Day. So basically there is a character who is at this mansion for this party, and Evelyn Hardcastle gets murdered at this party. But our main character keeps waking up in a different body every day. The day keeps repeating itself, and every day he wakes up in a different body, and he's trying to solve the murder. That premise right off the bat made me know that I had to read this. I will say it was really good, but there was something about it that I got really bored with and that I didn't like, and I think that I've discovered I'm not really a fan of that repeated day trope. I don't really like it very much. There's another book, it's like it has like a feather on the cover. It's about a girl who lives the same day. She like dies and is reborn again and again. Don't remember what that book is. If this is ringing a bell for you and you know exactly what I'm talking about and you're yelling at me, let me know in the comments. But I read like the first couple chapters of that book and could not get into it, and I think it's for the same reason. Thankfully, there were lots of other layers to this book that I did really enjoy. The ending really picked up the slack for me. Like, I really left the book with a very positive feeling. So I ended up giving this 3.5 stars, and if that repeated day thing doesn't bug you like it bugs me, then I think that this is a really great book and would highly recommend it. The next book that I read in November is one that had a pretty split feedback from the bookish community. A lot of people really hated it, but I loved it, and that is One by One by Ruth Ware. This book is about a tech company management team that gets together. They go on a company retreat in the mountains at this ski resort, and murder ensues. It's very Agatha Christie-esque, and I knew that it was going to be like that going in because I'd already been hearing a lot of reviews about it, most people saying that they hated it and thought it was predictable and boring, and I completely disagree with the boring part. I think, yes, it's predictable, but like in that Agatha Christie murder mystery way where there's no supernatural twist. It's not the kind of book that's supposed to hit you with a big twist at the end, and I think it did what it wanted to do really, really well. I would even argue that Ruth Ware perfectly executed what she set out to execute with this book. I adored it. It was the perfect cozy mystery. Like, I was still finishing up my thriller reads at the beginning of November because I slacked in October, and this was kind of perfect for that because it had like cozy, snowed in vibes and yet was still really engaging, and I tore through it. I read it in basically one day. I read like a little bit the night before and then finished it the next day. But, you know, respect your opinion if you hated it, but I think that it was great. And if you like Agatha Christie mysteries, then I definitely think that you should give this a go. And I gave that 5 stars, by the way. Continuing on my mystery thriller binge at the beginning of November, I read Broken Things by Lauren Oliver. So this book is about 2 teenage girls who were accused of murdering their best friend a few years ago, and now the truth of what actually happened that night is coming to light. I remember so little of this book that I think that tells you something. It was fine. I don't think that there was anything remarkable about this. It's a YA mystery thriller, and I wonder if this is something that I would have loved when I was actually a teenager, but I don't think that this is one of those YA books that like really carries over to adulthood. And don't get me wrong, I love a good YA, but this was just very meh for me. I gave it 3 stars. And to finish off my mystery thriller binge, I read The Mystery of the Blue Train by Agatha Christie. It was nice to read an Agatha Christie again. I think One by One just put me in the mood, and I had 3 Agatha Christies on my shelf that I hadn't read yet. Now I only have 2. This story involves stolen rubies and a murder on a train and concealed identities. It's a Hercule Poirot mystery, and I do love me some Hercule Poirot. Generally, I liked this. I had a good time. It was fun, but it was not one of Agatha Christie's more remarkable mysteries. It was, again, pretty meh. I gave it 3 stars. Next, I read Bridget Jones's Diary by Helen Fielding. This was a crazy, crazy popular book in the late 90s. Like, I think it was published the year that I was born, and it only kind of holds up. It was definitely a fun chick flick book. I actually picked a good time of year to read it because it kind of begins and ends with like New Year's. So there's Christmassy stuff in here. It's basically about a 30-something-year-old single woman who's trying to take control of her life and fall in love and stop smoking and drink less and lose weight. And that was the part that felt most outdated to me. Not that diet culture isn't still a problem now, because it is, and screw diet culture. We hate diet culture. You're beautiful, stop dieting. But that was a part that I just couldn't really relate to. I've never been one to like weigh myself every day, thank God. Yeah, I don't know. I could relate to it on some levels, and on some levels I was like, nah, this is not as relatable as the blurbs all say it is. But it was fun. I'm rambling on about this far too much. I gave it 3 stars. Then I read The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin, and I think when I told you that I read the first book, I forgot to tell you that I also read the second book that month, and I really liked the second book as well. And now I've finally read the third book in the trilogy, and I'm not gonna lie, this one lost me. I think, again, that this is a me problem. I'm not a big fantasy person. It's just not my jam. I don't get into it very much, and I got burned out by this last book, and I think it was really a struggle to get through this. I think the story's great. It didn't do anything wrong in this book. I just got tired of it. It's a heavy world, and we're already living in a heavy enough world. I just didn't want it. I wanted to be done. So I gave it 3 stars. Then I read The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abi Dare. I don't have this with me because I lent it to my sister, but this book is about a 15-year-old girl in Nigeria who has been taken out of school. She loves school, but she's been taken out of school, and her dad is marrying her off to this other older guy in their village. And when she gets married, she's not going to be able to go back to school. She knows this, and she's really upset about it because she loves to learn. So the whole book is basically her journey to fight for an education, and it's phenomenal. It's written in kind of a broken English, and as she learns more English, that's reflected in the writing, which was really fun. And yeah, I don't want to say too much more about the plot, but I think that it was a phenomenal book. I gave it 4 stars, and I definitely think you should read it. And then I read Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too by Johnny Sun. It was such a cute little story. It's like a little illustrated graphic novel. And it's super quick read, like you can sit down and read it in an hour or less. It was just so cute, and there were some just little blurbs that are like, oof, they just hit you in that place, because it's basically about like what it means to be human. And yeah, it was sweet. I gave it 3 stars. And then the last book that I read in November is Winter by Ali Smith. You may remember from my last video that I was obsessed with autumn. Winter was also phenomenal, although I will say I liked autumn better. I'm still really excited for spring and summer. It's just Her writing is so incredibly poetic, and I just can't handle it. I love it so much. Again, I was just reading passages of this out loud to the people around me, and they were getting annoyed, but it's so good. This one is obviously about winter. It follows a family as they, a kind of broken family as they come back together for Christmas. It's definitely kind of bleak, but it was really good. I liked it. Yes. So I ended up giving that one 4 stars. And those are all of the books that I read in November. I hope something on this list sparked your fancy and you're gonna add it to your TBR. And if you do read any of these, let me know what you thought, because I would love to chat about them more. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe and leave some comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Mwah.
Now I was headed to the bus stop, mighty